Sarge here. We ain't no pansy-ass motherfuckers, and if you ain't a pansy-ass motherfucker, join us, Clark University Nerf Team Squad.
We're looking for more people with testicular fortitude. Not just any testicular fortitude, like Sarge's testicular fortitude. And ladies, if you want to see it, you can just ask nicely.
So shoot whoever you want. I love shooting people, goddammit.
Just contact us at our YouTube site or our Facebook website, and you can be part of us. You don't have to be the victim. You can shoot civilians, just like the rest of us. Hoorah! Hoorah!
Clark University, a progressive New England liberal arts college home to the Nerf Team Squad of 2011.
Behind the fucking back!
Shoot first, ask questions later.
Fucking back!
These mercenaries will be revealed to modern students
Surprise parade!
to evoke a dialogue on masculinity and its transformation since the time of the Nerf Squad.
Alright, that was awful.
Those are Clark students?
I didn't realize that was from Clark. They're like kids from Clark.
2011? That looks like 2004. My initial reaction is that, like, that's whack. Like, that's just so ridiculous that, like, you just can't possibly take it seriously. And I think they know that, too. You know, like, it's totally, like, a campy, like, dumb thing to do. And it's hilarious.
Just, it makes me think about actual school shootings. I feel like it's the same demographic of people, only they aren't radical enough to actually be willing to kill people, but it's still the kind of person who finds it, fun to, fantasize about going in guns blazing and shooting a bunch of people.
Yeah, I mean that last one I thought was actually funny, but it looked like they were having fun, so God bless them.
How would these videos slide today? Terribly. Absolutely terribly. That was hard to watch. That was very, very hard to watch, and I could imagine that those three people would probably not make a lot of contact with a lot of people on this campus today.
I think that if someone like posted that on Instagram, I think people would be livid. And I think that they would somehow say that it's like propagating violence or something. I don't know, when literally it's just Nerf guns.
I think it'd be pretty funny, except for the dude who said surprise butt rape. I don't think people would like that very much, but other than that, I think people would definitely think it's funny because they're clearly being like sarcastic, and it's kind of like a satire on masculinity.
In 2020, people wouldn't really accept that. And, regardless of what era we're in, maybe people just shouldn't accept testicular whatever, blah, blah, blah.
I wouldn't say it's like school shooter-esque. I don't really see that. I think that you could say that they're like nerdy, and I think like the nerd type definitely got bashed more back then, and definitely got like bullied more back then. I think what would be bashed more is like that the sexually offensive type humor.
That last line where they say, "You don't have to be a victim. You could go and shoot civilians."
We just like shooting things, especially unarmed civilians.
It's a little rough. Masculinity has taken a massive beating. Oh boy. A lot of its ideas were founded on false premises, like the whole alpha male thing apparently was disproven. It was based on the experiment where a bunch of wolves were taken out of their packs and isolated in a space without their families. So basically we proved scientifically that alpha males as a concept are fake. Obviously the way that they speak about women in that video, both would be less than acceptable to say the least. Definitely they would not be glorified. The whole thing with the condom's kind of weird.
You want me to give my opinion on masculinity in today's society. I think a lot of people think it's like, they talk about toxic masculinity and all that jazz, and masculinity is definitely kind of demonized when I think it's very important. I think being a man is very important.
I think that no person should be raised under the mentality of like, oh, man up, you know, like what the fuck does that mean? Like, I just hate the notion that men as a concept have to be strong and hardworking.
Masculinity is absolutely bashed on. Can I swear? I think the masculinity is really fucking bashed on. I'm really just talking about like biological men who identify as men, and I think those people, it's important. You know, for me, being masculine is taking responsibility, not being harmless, being courageous, being brave, and I think those apply to women as well. But I don't think those things should be discouraged.
Unfortunately, that goes to show you how that mentality, unfortunately, still exists. You know, like, why do we have to deal with that? Why can't people just be people and not be bound to these stereotypes and these expectations? They're just unfair. So, but me as a creative person, and a tall person too, like it's a bit of a struggle because people see me and they think like, oh, do you play basketball? Oh, do you look really strong, you know? But that just goes to show you how much, you know, your appearance too plays into it. And people are beginning to see that all gender roles are dumb and just don't make any sense.
I don't think people will like this answer, but I really don't think that there's been much benefit, at least personally, from like the nerfing down of masculinity. It's a disservice to everyone, to men, women, and everyone, because number one, I don't think that men are able to be their authentic selves. I don't think that it serves anyone to like repress whatever you want to say, being masculine, like whatever that encompasses. I don't think would be good to repress it.
Before delving deeper into the realm of identity politics, we must return back to the chronology of the Nerf Squad. I spent hours sifting through pages of yearbooks from 2011 to 2015, and I stumbled across a familiar face, Matthew Grossman, one of the members of the team.
Let's fucking dance.
He's an accomplished research associate of public health science, graduating from Clark in 2014. This may very well be proof that one can escape the shackles of past foolishness.
You're welcome to join the Nerf Tactical team. I don't even know our fucking name anymore.
Clark University Nerf Tactical Squad. He knows about it.
However, let's return to the students.
I mean, I'm sure I've been prejudged every day or all the time as a man, and I don't think, and in many ways they're unnoticeable. I'm guessing some people would argue that they're unnoticeable because I take them for granted. I feel like that's what a lot of those people who talk about toxic masculinity would say. But I think we all have our privileges, and we should do our part in earning them. In sort of not letting them be a negative force in society, which I guess in some instance could be recognizing them. But it is it's more than that. It's kind of complicated.
I think that there's no such thing as toxic masculinity. I remember taking a course with Professor Addis. He specializes in the psychology of men, and was talking about how this term toxic masculinity like is new. It's not actually like a term that was used like clinically or like isn't an actual term. It's just something that people have, weaponized against men.
On your knees. On your knees. I have a problem. I don't take prisoners.
No, I don't think there's a true masculinity at all. I don't think there's any true gender role at all. It's such an interesting thing. Like, you could look at it historically, like, okay, how did we get to the point where we have to raise awareness of toxic masculinity? How did we get to the point where misogyny is a thing? Realistically, the concept of misogyny should never exist, because all people, regardless of gender, race, class, whatever, should be treated equally.
Look at the glory. Somebody lick him. Okay, that's good.
I don't think there's any one way to think about masculinity, because it shouldn't exist.
And at least for me, I'm attracted to those classic masculine values or like traits. And I think, and that doesn't mean that I don't think men should be sensitive or men should show their emotion. I actually think the exact opposite. I think that that is the only way to have authentic connection.
So yeah, like, I say that, like, fuck gender sucks, and it's true, it does, as a performative psychological role that we've seen all throughout history, but biologically, gender still exists in terms of male, female, intersex, and there's nothing we can really do about that. And I think that's the struggle that a lot of people go through.
Okay, how is masculinity going to move forward? This is like a question that I've had to think about a lot, both as like a trans person and also as a sociology major, looking at the ways that all these counter-culture movements against the new ways that we're supposed to see masculinity and gender are popping up. So, I mean, I'm also thinking back to the concept of chivalry, and I think, a world where that exists but is actually, followed in practice, and where, masculinity means to be, a good example, to be kind, to be decent to people, not to harass people, and less of a glorification of violence, less of a glorification of, repressing your feelings, which is what people thought it was and what it comes down to, and the outmoded masculinity that you see in videos like that. So I think it was an overall good change, and I think that there's a lot of pushback and there's going to be more, but I think moving forward, more people are trying to re-examine what masculinity is supposed to look like.
What do I think it'll look like 10 years from now? Because I think nowadays successful men are definitely demonized, and it's just assumed that if a man is successful, then he must be successful because he has somehow like manipulated his like male privilege or something like that, which I think is very, very negative outlook for both the people perpetrating that viewpoint and the people on the receiving end.
Why put any pressure on ourselves to behave in a certain way to advance these views that are so proven to be outdated and simply non-existent?
I think there has been a huge change. 10 years from, what was that, 2011? Right? 2011 to now, yeah, I think that those kids would be shunned on this campus, or at least, maybe not shunned, but I think things like that would be shunned at this campus.
Is that for the better or for the worse?
No, for the worse. And I think, yeah, the next 10 years, I think it's only going to get worse. However, I think someone's preference doesn't make it everyone else's preference. You know what I'm saying?
Whether or not it was for the better or for the worse, these students have acknowledged masculinity's recent transformations. Will society ever reach a consensus on masculinity's role, or will it remain in constant evolution?
It was ridiculous.
Sarge, where were you?
Sarge, why were you all over that?
Where was I?
There was a naked dance party going on here and you missed it.
I mean, I was here. I don't know where you guys were.
It is pretty musty in here.
I started.